I saw the Ford there. Stay and step in the place.
Good morning to you again as we get into the program, the feature known as Positive. This is the Wow Factor, and it's presented to you by Wholesale Seafood, located at 68 Arbor Street, Port Antonio. It's at City Center Plaza. The best deal for real. This morning we get to the offices, and it's inside of the Ministry of Labor, and it's the office in Portland. Here to represent the Ministry of Labor is Mr. Michael Morrison, and you know he's the NIS administrator for Portland. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for having me.
All right, a lot of people hear about the Ministry of Labor. Tell us what's the roles and function of the Ministry of Labor. People might hear about it and they don't know.
Okay, the role of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is kind of broad-based. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security is responsible for the administration of the government social security programs, to include NIS, the National Insurance part, which is the Program of Advancement through Health and Education. We have the Senior Citizens Councils, and we also have the labor section. We also have early stimulation program that comes also under the Ministry of Labor arms. And there are a number of programs. Some of them are contributory and some are non-contributory. But the main responsibility of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is to administer the social security services of the government.
All right, people hear about, let's start with the NIS. People hear about this NIS, whether you're working or not, and I think it has something to do with the whole level of pension and retirement and all that, because I know that there's implications that comes in the sense of you don't have any NIS, there are no benefits behind it. Tell us about the NIS.
Okay, first and foremost, legally, once somebody is between the age of 18 and 70, then they are supposed to have a national insurance number and as such contribute to the national insurance scheme. There are three categories of persons, and I'm going to break them down as follows. We have the employed person, and that is the person who is in an employment. We also have the self-employed persons who operate their own businesses. And we have another category we call a voluntary contributor. Now, so if you are not a voluntary contributor, then you would fall in the category of either employed or self-employed. So you have absolutely no reason to not contribute to the national insurance scheme.
No, I noticed from time to time, I used to see somebody buying some stamps and they put it on to, it's like they would have a card, and once this card is filled, they would take it in. What is happening here?
Okay, the self-employed persons and voluntary contributors, those persons pay by way of stamp card. So they come on a yearly basis to the NIS office and they are issued with a stamp card. They take the stamp card to the post office and they purchase NIS stamps. Now these stamps cost $100, so it's $100 that you contribute per week. You paste that stamp on the stamp card, and every year, and that is financial year, it is remitted at the NIS office, and you are issued with a new card. So on or around the 1st of April, that's when those cards are due. And they should be taken into the office and be exchanged for new ones.
All right. Just fill me in back with the age. You said somewhere it's like 18 to
30.
All right.
18 to 70.
Yeah,
yes,
18
sorry.
to all right. The age 18 to 70, I had to work at 3 different institutions. Is there a case where my NIS that I pay with each one of these institutions, it will go over? Do you see where it reflects?
Can you repeat for me, please?
All right, like let me say again, I'm working at business A, then I'm not working there anymore. I get employed at business B, and I'm not working there. I get employed at business C. Now, with these three different places that I work, is there a case where you know that I pay NIS because these persons that I was employed to, the old level of NIS, I paid it?
Okay, it's a very good question. And once an individual is issued with a national insurance number, we create what is known as a life record for that person. And the life record is not destroyed under 60 years. Now, a life record is what would have all the necessary information about the individual contributions data. So, regardless of what employer you are with, you know, all those contributions from the various different employers are entered on that life record. So it shouldn't be a problem.
And can people out there come in and say, all right, I wonder if I work for John Brown Company, I wonder if they are paying my NIS, because sometimes there have been things in the past where we have some firms say, yes, you're paying your NIS, withdraw it, but we don't know. Can we come to the office and find out if the company is paying?
Yes, you can come to the office, and we often advise persons to come into the office and check on their contributions, because from time to time what we find is that persons neglect to pay, and some persons deliberately don't want to pay. Some persons want to be evasive. So the persons or NIS contributors must act in their own self-interest and ensure that they do the necessary checks and balance. Now, I want to expound on this a little bit, because some of the employees do not know that they have the right to go to their employer and say, I want to see my deduction card.
Oh.
Or I want to see information relating to my contribution. They do have the right under the law to go to their employer and say, I want to see my deduction card, or I want to see records of pay and contribution as it relates to my NIS contributions. And they have the right to do that twice yearly.
So so basically, I need to see it, and if I'm not getting to see it, I can come to the
Definitely.
NIS and find it. What is the benefits, though? People hear about it. What's the benefits?
There are a number of benefits, and I can talk about them all day, but I know the program wouldn't allow me.
No man. You have another 10 minutes to go, so we can talk.
Okay.
And you know, nothing is in the writing in the stone. That's so we can go all the way until 11 o'clock. So you can continue.
Okay. We have the old age benefit. That's the one you get when you get to 65. In the case, well, it is 65 in the case of male and 60 in the case of females. But we are doing some pension reform, and consequently, we are moving the retirement age for females up from 60 to 65. So in 2016, both male and female would be getting their pension, their old age pension, at 65. We are moving it an increment of 1 year every year until 2016. We also have what is known as widower benefit. And this is when one spouse becomes deceased, then a claim can be made for what is known as a widower benefit. And this is payable by way of a pension paid fortnightly. So, and the widow's benefit go far and wide, and I'm going to expound on that to see if I can shed some light on it. When we talk about widow, persons think that you have to be legally married to the person to claim a widow's benefit, you know. And I am to inform you, listeners, that it's not so. In fact, if you are in a common law relationship with someone who become deceased, providing that you are in that relationship for 5 years or more, then you can claim what is known as widow's benefit in respect of a common law union. And for this, all you need is 2 letters from prominent community persons attesting to the fact that this relationship existed for over 5 years, along with what is known as a Form BE20 that is completed by a national insurance inspector. and you can make the claim for the widow's benefit by virtue of a common law union. The NIS respect that union.
All right, we got a lot there. Now, are there anything else that we leave out that you want to add? Because we also want to get into path to find out what is it about path, what's the importance of it, how people can get on path.
Okay, the PATH program is a program of advancement through health and education. It's a program to give some sort of financial support to persons of lower income, persons who are at the bottom end of the income spectrum.
How you know
so
that
to
John
speak.
Brown is a low income person?
Our social workers are trained, and they do the necessary investigation. And in addition to that, as a matter of fact, the process that involves persons qualifying for the PATH benefit is quite simple. It's not a tedious task in the sense that one would come into the office and the database and the program is so designed that there is a scoring factor that really decides whether someone is qualified or not. I must also inform though and shed some light on that concern about qualification, because persons are of the view that because of whatever they have in their houses and so on and so forth, they will not be qualified. No, it is not so. We ask of the questions to the person, the applicant, and when the person comes in, we ask of the persons certain questions, and they are inputted into the computer, and the computer scores the person. Now, if your score is too high, then you will not benefit. If your score is too low, then you benefit. You will be selected, so to speak. But if you are not selected by the computer, then what you can still pursue the matter on the basis of an appeal. On the basis of an appeal. Now, it is when the person appeal that the human element comes into the application process. You know, prior to the appeal, then it's purely mechanical.
Okay. All right. We're glad for that information, but you know, I want to get to the part where we can add other things that we leave out, because it's not everything I know about the Ministry of Labor, so to speak. So let's get into some of the information that you would want to leave with the listeners before we close this part of Positive.
Okay. It is of paramount importance for you to ensure that you make your contributions. If you make your contributions, then there is no reason why you shouldn't benefit. As I said, the national insurance benefits are contributory. So you would have to contribute to benefit. There are the non-contributory benefits such as PATH and so on and so forth. But for national insurance benefit, you have to contribute. In fact, you have to contribute for a minimum of at least 10 years as it is now to qualify for minimum pension. I want to leave with the listeners that there are 3 levels of pension, which is minimum or half pension, and there are also 3/4 pension, and there are full pension. What determines the level of pension you get upon retirement is the amount of time that you have contributed incrementally. I also want to leave with our listeners that our National Insurance Fund stands very strong and healthy. And I always use this term that when Blaze was blazing and Tetrac went down and Olint went down and Cash Plus, your National Insurance Fund stood strong. We did our housekeeping, and we ensure that the National Insurance Fund will remain viable for generations to come. In fact, we have a diversified investment portfolio. What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that we invest in a number of lucrative businesses. We are the proud owner of that lovely building on Constant Spring Road that says Passport, Citizenship and Immigration. We also are the proud owner of that landmark building downtown that says Here Jamaica, and a number of other assets. So your funds is safe with us. We have a section of the ministry that is responsible for investing the monies invested, and that is their sole responsibility. So, ladies and gentlemen, your NIS fund is strong and will be viable for generations to come.
So before I close off, I can say that the man that sells the back juice on the road, the man that sells the cane, the non-employment person, in a sense, the person that is not employed, you're self-employed, do your own business. You can come in and you get the card. What you call the the card again that you pay your NIS on?
It's a national insurance card.
Right. You come in and you pay it because you still get your benefit that way, right?
Definitely.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Morrison. No, let me go to this text finally before. How long you have to wait to get your benefit payment after applying? That's a text.
Okay. And I'll answer it quickly by saying there's not a specific time for any specific claim. And why I'm saying this is that every claim is on its own merit. If there is a contributor problem, then what you might find is that there's a delay in the time from the time of application to the time when the person receives this benefit, because all of the contributions cannot be found or cannot be located or identified. Whenever there is no contribution problem, then the claim is processed within 6 to 9 months.
All right. We are glad that you came here, and we had so much. And if there's anything, we know that we can call upon the Ministry of Labor to do another interview. But let's put the Ministry of Labor aside and ask this question that we always ask our guest in this show. Mr. Morrison, what makes you positive?
I guess my job and the people around me. I think we have a very good cadre of workers. I might be one of the faces, but there are a lot of persons behind me who give me their support and who work tirelessly to accomplish the Ministry of Labor mandate.
All right, you heard it. You are Insider Positive. We just want to say special thanks to Mr. Morrison for passing through the program, the feature.